This is Greg Henderson, a multi Tour de France athlete and Olympian, multiple Olympian. And we were lucky enough to have reached out via Twitter, and we were able to rush you a couple samples of the ketone ester. But first, if I could, find out, how did you first hear about, ketones in general before hearing about us?
There was the rumors around the peloton for a long time with, a certain team that was supposed to be using them and paying exorbitant amounts of money to get this drink. And, usually in the pro peloton where there's smoke, there's fire. So, it's sort of snowballed, and then we worked out that, okay, hang on, they are on something, but when they're actually taking them and how much they're taking and how much they're paying for them, that was still all hearsay. It was all still rumor. But,
right.
Now obviously it's having connected with you guys, it's definitely the real deal.
So maybe a little bit better than marginal gains?
Yeah, I'd definitely say there's definitely something more than marginal gains there.
Can you, if you don't mind sharing that story that you gave to us about what happened when I think you were on the tour?
It was pretty interesting. I mean, like we said, we don't know anything, but the thing was, I've raced in Europe for 11 years, and if you miss a feed bag in a feed zone, it's not a major deal. You just go back to the car and get another one, or if you're one of the leaders, one of your teammates goes back to the car and gets another feed bag for you because, mate, if it's a hot day, you want some drinks or whatever. And on this particular day, this particular team had one of the leader had missed his feed bag, and I happened to be around that team at the same time, and I've just never ever seen so much like chatter in the radio and panic, and he's missed the feed bag, he's missed it, he's dropped it on the side of the road, and it was like full panic. And I was sort of thinking at the time, mate, it's a drink bottle, like just go back and get another one. I had no idea what they were on about, I just could not, and it went on and on and on for probably a good 5 kilometers until they finally, the car stopped, picked up the bottle off the side of the road, drove back to the peloton, and then the teammate actually went back to get the bag and give it to the leader. And I was gobsmacked. I was just like, what can be so important in this drink bottle that needs to be, that's
maybe the drink had to be the right temperature, because that's marginal gains if it's off by 5 or 10 degrees.
I knew nothing of it at the time. I just thought, I remember we even spoke on the bus about it. I told the story on the bus on the way back to the hotel. I said, I've just never seen, people just get so carried away over a drink bottle, like go and get another one. And then, then these rumors come out about that, these ketones that this team's on, and when they started taking them at the timing in which they'd take them. And it all started sort of to think, I was like, if that's a $6,000 bottle of drink, I could probably see the team stopping on the side of the road to go back and get the drink bottle. So that was the rumor. And then, obviously a lot more research has gone into the ketone esters now. And obviously you guys have done a heck of research and found a viable source at an affordable cost now, which is going to, I think, change the game when it comes to, sporting gains, not marginal gains. These are big gains.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, we got you 2 drinks. We scrounged together 2 drinks. I think I had some freezing for a freezing test. I put them all together. Got you 2, full servings of 60 grams each. And I wanted you to take the first one on practice day because, taking it straight on game day, there's just too many variables. And, you've got your protein and carb levels, and to bring in this new mix, was too risky. So we first did it you did it indoors to isolate the variables more. Can you talk about, I think you drank a carb drink a half an hour before, and then 10 minutes before you drank the ketone drink. What was your routine?
Yeah, so 3 hours before I trained, I had just a normal breakfast. The whole session that I did 2 hours I did an hour preload of 310 watts, which at altitude for me is a lot of power. And I did that for an hour.
And you were expecting to do like 270 because of the altitude adjustment.
Normally for me, 270 would be,
right.
A solid hour's effort for sure.
And you ended up you were shooting for 300 and ended up just saying, well, while I'm at it, let's do 305,
Yeah, and then the average at the end.
That's a 12%.
So it was
like a 12% improvement.
It was a large improvement for sure. And it was super comfortable. Like there was no point at all where I was, struggling. I could have gone harder, but I was like, right, let's just stick to the protocol. And then I had 10 minutes rest, and then I took so by now I've been on the ergo for an hour 20, and I did the test, the ketone test of my finger, and I still had 2.4 millimoles, is it?
Yeah.
So I still had 2.4, and then I started my threshold efforts. And my first threshold was definitely my best effort. 360 watts for 16 minutes. And then this is only on water, and I never, I'm a sprinter, and I never ever just train on water. I'm always loading in the sugars. So to produce this power and for this long, I was really impressed. And then there was something where I needed to get. I feel like maybe they were running out, and I needed to get some sugars into me, but my next two efforts weren't as good. They weren't bad, but they weren't as good. It was almost like I need to work out the formula of when to start putting sugars in.
Right,
and
exactly.
It's still I'm still not 100% certain on the.
Well, also electrolytes. You weren't taking any electrolytes during that time too. So there are sugar-free electrolyte drinks that we could do next time.
Yeah, that's the other
variable.
Yeah, because I was after 2.5 hours on the ergo. You sweat quite a bit.
Yeah,
if you've got the AC going and a fan going, it's and I was just on the verge of cramping, which is just a lot of electrolyte loss.
Okay, so you mentioned that you had tested it after the 2 or 2.5 hour initial ride. We decided not to test you at the beginning because we wanted you to do the right protocol, which was 30 minutes and then 10 minutes, and then you were just immediately starting your first portion. We didn't want you pricking your finger 5 minutes into your 2 hours. So the 2.4 was after it probably hit anywhere from 4.5 to 6. So then you used up that energy. You used up those ketones as it fell down to the 2.4. That's about right. That's about clockwork. Okay. And then so you used the Elite HRV recording machine, right? And
correct.
What did you wake up with that morning?
Well, I'd done some really hard training leading in before the session I did with you guys, and I woke up I was actually one of the tightest I'd been. I was on 3 in the red there, so it was I'd done a very hard 3-day load, and I was literally about to have a rest day until you guys sent me this product, and I said, well, I'm going to try it. So that's another thing that I would like to add is the fact that I was actually really fatigued, and I could still do this preload power of 310 watts at altitude for an hour comfortably. So there's definitely something there as well.
So then the next, how was your appetite for the rest of the day? How was your sleep? And how did you wake up with the HRV?
So appetite, just normal. I was not overly hungry. By dinner, after dinner, actually, I got a bit peckish. But not, during the day or dinner. It was just normal. There was nothing. I wasn't craving anything. I wasn't super hungry at all, to be honest. And then, and then I woke up in the morning and it's like I recovered. Even though I trained my backside off, my HRV went up to 7. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I actually did it twice, I was like, that can't be right, because I was just 3 yesterday and I just belted myself today. And I went up to 7. So
yeah, we want to interview the CEO of the Elite HRV and ask him if he's ever seen any supplement do anything remotely like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Because that allows you to, in theory, train again the next day. And if you're confident that you're going to be recovered, you can get more hard training days in. And what's the value of that?
Exactly.
So then you had a race on Saturday night, and then Sunday you took the drink again for that race. And that race was a little bit longer. That was a 5-hour race, and I was worried because we hadn't fully tested it at that length, and you wanted to take it halfway through, and I was worried because it's very particular how you take it. If you take just ketones, it's no different than just carbs. If you take just carbs, everyone knows what that is. And when you take them at the exact same time, it's not optimal. So throwing in, hey, let's take the drink halfway through scared me too much. So we decided to go back to the initial protocol of take it at the beginning, and then hopefully you'll have saved up energy so that, the last half of the race, you'll, be able to, be where other people aren't. You'll be more fresh than other people are. Next time, maybe we can get you a drink and a half, or change it up a little bit with the electrolytes. So how did that race go, including the energy at the beginning? Was there, some people experience time dilation where things are a little bit slower, or they're calm, their nerves, or sharpness of vision? I think you said you did not get any of that. How was the feeling?
No, I felt fantastic for the first 2 hours of the bike race. I felt, it was like, it was like I hadn't raced last night. Fresh legs, and it was definitely, there was no pain in the legs. It wasn't like I was producing massive amounts more power or anything like that. I was just comfortable in the race for the first 2 hours. After 2 hours, the circumstances of the race actually happened that we had a breakaway went early, and we had 2 teammates in it. So there was sort of a situation there where I couldn't do much. My hands were tired because I can't chase my teammates, obviously. And then after probably an hour and a half, we started to go, myself and 2 teammates went full gas up one of these climbs. And, there's 130 guys left in the peloton. And when we looked around at the top, I did the climb, and there was only 15 guys left. And, so we just carried on riding. We started catching the break, and by the end of after 2 hours, I started feeding normally, because I was only using water again.
Right.
And for me, again, like I said, in a race, to start with water and to only have water for the first 2 hours is unheard of for me. And then, so I switched then to carbohydrates and electrolyte drink, and just normal food, my gels and my bars and whatever. And then I came down a level to definitely a level below where I was that first 2 hours. And normally it wouldn't be, after 2 hours for me, it wouldn't be fatigue. So I think it was.
So it sounds to me like an insulin spike. You carb loaded, and your glucose was suppressed down by the ketones. You took all this glucose and it just skyrocketed.
A few variables there that you'd like to iron out for sure. There's just, and get it in writing and almost have it written down on a piece of paper. Like, okay, at this time, this is what we're taking. At this time here, don't load, like you said, in case I do get that insulin spike. Maybe just have a little bit of carbohydrate, not just straight into it. Right. And I think the problem was, I was on the water, and I felt like I needed the electrolytes. And I know that the drink has 30 grams of carbohydrates, but I know it has electrolytes with it. So I basically nailed a bottle of electrolyte drink, right, which had 30 grams of carbs as well.
Any last words as far as whether this is the real deal?
It's got me scratching my head, mate. I tell you, and I've been doing that much reading on it, and it's and there's no denying it. I just literally, the power meter doesn't lie. Watts are watts. They don't lie, and the fact that I could do that power at altitude is it's not normal for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
And thank you guys.